Thank you. Thank you so much, Phoenix. I would love to introduce this magnificent band to you very shortly. But before I do, I'd love to speak to you on an issue from the heart, if you could. And I know it's strange and unusual to be confronted by anything you might consider politics or political issues at a Hozier concert. But I just want to speak to you for a moment on this issue. And as an Irishman, and my lived experience and the lived experience of my parents' generation and the generation before theirs, and before theirs, and before theirs, and before theirs, and before theirs. And it is an issue that a lot of people are deeply emotionally invested in, and I acknowledge that. And it may be an issue also that many people will be upset at me bringing into this space, and I acknowledge that. And I'm at peace with that, and thank you for your patience. But I come from a small island off the coast of the Atlantic, which has a very troubled history, which faced centuries and centuries, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of violence and counter-violence and terror, sectarian violence. And what the Irish poet Seamus Heaney once referred to as each day's neighbourly murder in his lived experience. And all of that came to a peaceful and diplomatic and political end after a ceasefire and after a peace process that was helped and supported by the international community led by the United States at the time. And as a result, I grew up on an island that knew relatively no violence like that my parents had experienced, had seen, or many members of this crew had seen on the island of Ireland. And when I come to this country, I'm so blessed to have had such an incredible 10 years of playing shows and be met with the incredible compassion and the incredible humanity of the people in this country, genuinely. And it is that those values and that compassion that led to that the support for that peace process. At the time, it was the Clinton administration, you know. And so I just want to say that. And I know I don't need to remind us, bring into the space everything that we've seen on our news screens since the nightmare of October the 7th. And day after day is nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. And in a moment like this, there's so much helplessness, there's so many energies of powerlessness and energies of grief. And it can be easy to feel powerless, but coming from where I come from and where a lot of the Irish members of my crew come from, I believe that our representation on the global stage really makes an enormous difference and really can make an enormous difference. And I'm sensitive to what I'm going to ask you, or what I ask you to consider as an Irish citizen, as a foreign citizen to this wonderful country. And I believe, we're in an amazing position that in our respective democracies, we have access to those who represent us. We have access to them. Those who represent us domestically, here, locally, and those who represent us internationally on the global stage. And you may or may not be aware there was a UN resolution there last Friday, and as I understand it, the United States currently is not supporting in the UN a ceasefire. But all I would ask for you to consider, if you would love to see a ceasefire at the moment, is that if you consider contacting one of your representatives and just let them know that you would love for them to represent you in our collective, represent us all in our collective grief and our collective sorrow and our collective horror of what we're seeing day in, day out. And thank you so much. That's all I'm going to ask, and that's all I'm going to say. And thank you for your patience. Thank you.